Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope. It is your girl, Chrissy, with another episode of Cipher Knowledge with Chrissy. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is the season finale. But don't worry, I'll be back. And you know what? A great way to end the season with my next guest. But you got to wait a second before I introduce him because I got to do my spiel. Listen, we are going strictly and exclusively to YouTube, 2M1L Media, as of January 2021. So if you want to see any of the live episodes, make sure you go over to 2M1L Media, like, subscribe, hit that notification button so you don't miss any episodes. I will still be posting on the Cipher Knowledge with Chrissy Facebook page, all the content and all the shows that will be coming up. I will be adding them as events as well. So listen. Don't miss season 2. It is jam-packed. I am telling you, you are gonna want to make sure you tune into every episode. So I'll keep that ticker scrolling at the bottom, but I want to go ahead and check in real quick to the comments. We got, hey, Alice says his phone is dead. Always got the wife doing something, right? Always got the wife doing something. So listen, I want to introduce my guest, Mr. Irvin Legend, the legend himself. He is a pro wrestler and motivational speaker. So you've probably seen him on Around the Turnbuckle, but today we're going to talk about his motivational speaking. So I'm going to go ahead and shoot it over to Irvin and let him tell us who he is, what it is, Irvin.
Hey, what's up? First of all, I want to thank you for having me on last episode of the season. That's pretty dope. I want to thank people for taking the time to tune in and, listen to my story and how I got into motivational speaking. I've been doing wrestling for about 5 years as a pro. And I kind of tied motivational speaking into wrestling because one of the biggest questions I get is, why is Irvin Legend your name? It's the name I gave myself because of my life experiences, because it's like something out of a movie. You know what I'm saying? Like my birth mom was a cocaine addict. She was a prostitute. So when I was born, I was a premature baby. I was super sick. I had a lot of medical issues I had to overcome. I had cerebral palsy, I had asthma, epilepsy, mild brain damage. Even as a child, like I distinctly remember going to the doctor one time, and they were like, "He's not ever gonna play sports. Like he should be in a wheelchair right now. He shouldn't even be walking." I was barely walking because my motor skills was like all over the place.
Wow.
But they didn't even give me a chance to play sports. And by the time I was 11, I was playing soccer, basketball. In high school, I was junior varsity and varsity wrestling and football. And then literally a week after I graduated high school, I became a pro wrestler, and I did boxing. Yeah. So I pretty much just told the doctors to shove it. But then, also my mom, another thing is like, I had my fair share of hardships, around that time too, because around 14, 15, 16, I was still a kid, but I was trying to find like my purpose in life. Like the normal kid at 14 to 15 is trying to find what they want to do in life. They're trying to find their purpose. I didn't know what that was. I liked wrestling, but I never thought it was realistic for me to actually be a wrestler because of my surroundings. And I remember after my mom passed away, literally my first week in freshman year in high school, I didn't have anybody to turn to. I mean, I had family, but it wasn't like having the relationship with the mom. Didn't have a dad, but I did have a father figure. But again, I don't know my dad. So like mentally I was lost, and I believed the wrong people, and that's how I got tied up in the streets. And that caused more problems for me. And then I had, just because I was wearing a certain color, I had people after me. So it's like I ended up got beat up countless times, survived getting shot, barely survived getting stabbed. I was actually in the hospital for like a month. So it's like, it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it at all.
So it wasn't easy. It wasn't an easy road for Irvin, but yet you overcame, and 'tis the legend.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. It's not just some fancy name I came. I mean, obviously, Irvin Legend's a play off of Urban, but it's like, it's my life experiences that turned me into what I what I call myself. I know I completely shut down after losing my mom, and then I was really angry, and I was lost, and I was angry at the world, which is why I joined the gang because I wanted to pay back people that really didn't do anything to me, but I pretty much wanted them to feel the pain that I was feeling, and it was a bad move, bad choice.
Yeah,
So
but like you said, that was a crucial period, right? That 14, 15 years old
yeah,
is that crucial moment in your life. It's when you learn to become the adult, right? Like
yeah,
you're
yeah,
learning strategies of life and how to navigate through life. Before that, it's all mom, or your family that's supporting you. And I guess that kind of goes into my question of, I guess you almost answered it, but maybe you have a different answer. What inspired you to become a motivational speaker?
honestly, like we got too many kids dying. Like it doesn't even break. I mean, race is a big thing, but it's the kids. Like whether you're black, white, there's kids dying, and it's like they don't get the chance to live or even live their dream out because they're gone because they made a wrong choice. So me, I want my message to hit the teens, the young adults, even the younger kids, because yeah, gang banging and being on the streets might be cool. It might earn you fast money, but it ain't gonna be like that forever. You're wasting your time, and then when you need your homeboys, when you need your set, they're not there. Especially when
Mm,
you get, especially when you get locked up, or if you need backup, they're not there. So it's like one thing that always will be there is your passion to succeed. So for me as a motivational speaker, my message is to like put that fast life behind you and spend that same energy on trying to better your life and ensure that you live to 40, 50, you have that 6 bedroom house or that Maserati you want to drive. You won't get it being on the streets. I mean, you can, but it ain't gonna last long.
it's not gonna last. Yeah,
It's not
you
gonna
know,
last long.
I was talking to a friend of mine, and I was like, "Oh, I hear all these." I'm a Bronx girl, so born and raised in New York City in the Bronx, and I would hear all these stories of like the inner city. Like I don't know why I didn't think I lived in the inner city. I lived in the damn inner city, but in the inner city, and they're losing their friends, and it's one's dying after another due to gun violence and gang violence, and all of this. And I was like, I never experienced that. What is everybody talking about? Then I sat down and I thought about it, and I was like, well, I'm a damn liar because I've experienced it a number of times. But I guess for me, I normalized it, right? It was like, oh, this
Yeah,
is normal. So it didn't register to me
right,
that it was a problem. And I think that's what a lot of our kids face. It's normal. This is how it's supposed to be, and that's just the way it is. And I think it's great that you get out there and you speak to them and let them know that, hey, this is not normal. This is not what you want to do. There is a better option out there. And I always say, when you know better, you do better, right? I think that was Maya
right.
Angelou. Um, so I think that's great. And you spoke to the fact that your demographic are young kids, teenagers, and young adults. How do they receive that? Like when you're out there speaking to them, how do they receive that?
Well, they listen, but in my mind, I'm like, well, how much of this are they listening to? Will they actually go home and sit down and think about what I said, or will they just sit here and nod their head and go back home and do the same stuff they were doing? There were like when I spoke at Hampton High, that was at least 500 kids, from freshmen to sophomores to juniors to seniors. There was one kid in particular that I was paying attention to because came from a broken home. I'm gonna go ahead and say the set. I mean, I was in the Bloods. He was a Crip, so I'm like, when I said Bloods, he gave me this evil eye. I'm like, dude, I'm friends with some Crips. Don't be eyeballing me like that. Like just because
Hmm.
I'm not,
From
active
your
doesn't mean I don't respect my set. Don't do that. You know what I'm
hmm
saying? So it's like, I pulled him aside. I'm like, hey, dude, how old are you? He's like 17. I said, okay. I said, you got a dad? You got what's your household like? He's like, my mom is locked up. My dad's dead. I said, okay, okay. I said, what's one thing you want to do in life? He said he wants to be a police officer. I said, okay, what's your backup plan? He's like, if I don't want to be a police officer, I want to be a football player. I said, let me ask you something. You think you're going to get in the police academy gang banging? He's like, no. I said, you think you're going to make millions of dollars in the NFL or even go to college gang banging? He's like, no. I said, then why are you doing it? He's like, because I need money. I said, well, what's stopping you from working there's nothing wrong working at Burger King because
No.
at least you earning money legally. It's, I don't know how much they earn. I'm pretty sure it's like 10 an hour, but it's better than being dead. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, it's about to go up to 15, right? It's slowly climbing up to 15 an
Eight,
hour.
50 an
Um,
hour.
yeah. And if
You
you
know,
learn financial responsibility, you can do a lot with that. You can make investments and but it comes back to that do better, better do better, right? Um, have you had anybody ever come back up to you later on in life and say, "Hey, I was at one of your, speeches, and it made me think, and it impacted me." Have you had anybody come back?
I actually have this one kid. His name is starts with a J. I think it was Jay Quan, or I'm just gonna call him Jay. But he was on the
Okay.
streets, dropped out of school. I pulled him aside and I told him, I said, "Look, man, you're influenced by the wrong people. Like people on the streets, the news. The news is making it seem like it's okay to commit crime. Like there's a lot of things that tie into what you're doing because you think it's the right. It's really not." So I sat him down. I talked to him. His mom actually reached out to me about a summer later, and she was like, "He got a job because of you. He got a nice lady in his life. He's getting ready to move out." So like that right there, like I was like, all right. So at least one person like actually took my advice, and so that definitely. I still keep in contact with them, from time to time. I said I might be busy with wrestling, but I remember you, so I'll drop in on their Facebook, see how you're doing. I just talked to him about Thanksgiving, so I'll probably holler
Awesome.
at him, New Year's, will see how he's hanging up. Definitely proud of him for turning his life around because he was hell bent on I gotta be loyal to my set. So when your set ain't gonna be loyal to you when push comes to shove, they ain't gonna be there. Like they weren't there for me. They could give two craps if I lost my life. I almost lost my life twice.
I'm telling you, like you said, when you locked up and you need that commissary money, ain't nobody putting nothing on your books.
Yep,
Ain't
yep.
nobody putting nothing on your books. You
Ain't
got to
nobody.
eat that
Yep,
slop they give you.
yep, yep. So it's like it's hard illusion. It's like it's just colors. It's just fake power. It don't exist. There's nothing more powerful than someone else's than your mind,
Right.
because your mind could be the reason why you succeed. It could be the reason why you fail.
Right. And I feel like the reason why, and you could tell me if I'm wrong, but I think the population that tends to seep into the gang relations is because there is a deficit of family and love.
Yeah,
So they seek that, right, in all the wrong places. And that's how it's depicted. They think it's love and loyalty. But listen, even in your own family, blood ain't always blood, right?
yep, yep. That's the truth. Yep, yeah,
So you have to be mindful of that. I think it's amazing that you go out there and speak to the youth. And it's amazing that even if it was just the one, I'm sure there's many that haven't made it back to you. But even if it's just that one, that's one person that, and that's the premise of my show too, right? Is providing information and knowledge to people, and hopefully it can change their outlook and experience and insight in life, even if it's just a little thing. And I say it all the time, whether I have 100 viewers or one viewer, it doesn't matter, right? Because at least I'm reaching somebody and something. But do you ever get nervous? Like 500 people. I mean, I think I'm okay with 500 people. But what about you?
honestly, after I wrestled in front of 500 people with just spandex and knee pads, I don't really get nervous anymore. So it's like at least with that, I had pants and a shirt on. I mean, I'm wrestling. I'm used to wrestling in my spandex and with my ass popping out and oiled up and stuff like that. So it's like, I mean, yeah, of course, when I first did my first motivational speaking, I got a little teeny nervous because it's like the light was on me, the whole auditorium was silent, and I had like 500 eyes just staring. I'm like, oh man, this is crazy. But this is just like when I used to perform for like I used to do battle raps. I mean, it's not never in front of 500 people, but I mean, it was still like it was crazy, and I was very blessed because I'm like they're all paying attention to me. They're all listening to my story. Like honestly, when I first told my story, I didn't think anyone was gonna give a damn about my story. But the fact I put my story out there, I had numerous emails, messages. I even had the news contact me. Like it was crazy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like now I'm having them schools, middle schools. I don't. My story's a little graphic for middle schoolers, but I mean, if I get booked at a middle school, I'll water it down a little bit. I mean, everybody knows we're gang, they know. So it's like, you know, I've,
Listen,
you know. So it's
depending
like,
on where you're speaking, You may not have to water it down in middle school,
And not,
unfortunately.
I haven't had to do that, but it's like, you never know. Someone's parents might hear, but like I didn't like. But look, I dealt with all this when I was in middle school. So that was the age that these kids are, and when they're like 14, 50-year-old kids now are just driving BMWs. I was on the streets slinging crack. So it's like two different upbringings, and it's like I just wish that these kids would make better choices. But I've been blessed to be able to talk at middle schools, high schools. My home high school, that was awesome because that's the high school I graduated from. It's like a blast from the
Pass from
past.
past, yeah.
Um, I've been done centers. I've done special needs programs. So it's definitely now. I mean, I don't take bookings. I do virtuals until because I really don't feel comfortable going to schools in this pandemic. So I'll stick to
Yeah.
virtual. I just did Daniel Pewter's podcast last week. You
Awesome.
know, so I'm still doing my thing. I'm still putting my message out there. I still got schools contacting my email every month. I'm like, just contact me like March and we'll see about some virtuals or something. But
That's awesome. I my son, my middle one, my pain in the ass. He is. He's the all the gray hair that you may or may not see is definitely because of him. But he I had to send him to an all boys school for a year. He needed some behavioralist and some care for him.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
mean he did well when he was there. The atmosphere was great for him because it was a structured atmosphere. Unfortunately, at home, when you got a single parent trying to do everything, the structure really isn't. The structure isn't always possible, right?
right, right.
So because he did so well, I had some of the founders ask for me to come out and speak my truth and talk my story for one of their fundraising events. And I mean, there was like millions of dollars walking around in that room, right?
Yeah,
And I'm just looking there. But after I did my spiel and spoke my truth. I didn't feel any, and I'm getting to a question for you. There's a point here. I didn't feel like it was a big deal. Like, this is my life, this is my story, this is what I went through. It's what made me who I am. So I'm not embarrassed by my truth. But
yeah.
everybody was like, "Oh my god, that was so courageous and so brave of you to tell your story." And I was just confused. Have you ever gotten that, and what have you thought about that? Like, have you thought of it as courageous, or like, "Hey, this is my life"?
I'm just a man that's been through some shit that is chasing a dream. Yeah, it's courageous, but I'm not gonna give myself too much credit. I'm just trying to tell them what not to do so they don't have to go through. I mean, obviously, some of the stuff I had to go through was not by choice, but a lot of it was. So it's like, I just want to make sure these kids don't have to go through what I had to go through at that age because I made some dumb decisions. But I've actually there was only one time I got really hot, and because this lady's like, "Oh, I don't believe you got stabbed." So I said, "Okay." So I said, "Look at the scar on my stomach." She's
Yeah,
like,
why would you lie?
"Yeah." She's like, "That looks like a operation mark." I said, "It's an operation mark because I had to cut my stomach open to save some of my internal organs. That's what that incision's from,
Wow.
not just from the knife. The knife cut me open. I had to go straight to the hospital so they could take out what was hanging out my stomach. Lady, like,
Yeah. For
yeah,
those, you got to kind of just keep it moving and be like, all right, whatever. There's a
yeah.
comment here that I do want to get to. I think so Simone says, can't wait to be on your show one day. These messages need to reach the younger generation. They're desperately asking for help and need a sense of belonging. I want them to know that they are not alone. We are in this together. I'm so proud of you for turning your life around. And then she says, being a single mother is not easy. I know the feeling. Trust me. But yeah, and then we got Alex. Oh, you charged your phone? I just
Hey,
had
what up, bro?
I just had so yeah, so I think it's weird and odd that people are like, "Oh, you're so brave." I'm like, it's a story. Maybe they're talking about the experience we've gone through as a brave experience.
And it's like, before I got stabbed, I was never a religious kid. Like, I wasn't sure, but literally, after what I saw, like, I literally remember seeing my mom's face. That was number one. I saw mom's face. I felt an intense hot flash, and then I did see like gold dots. So then I was like, okay, that must have been like remnants of, okay, maybe he is real, like for sure. Because if he wasn't, I wouldn't be here. That's why, I decided, as far as religion, I don't have a label, but I am a believer. I do have religious tattoos. So I mean,
So do I. Yeah.
it took me pretty much dying pretty much to believe, which is what I had to do. But I'm glad it happened. I wouldn't nothing about my life. I wouldn't change. I wouldn't change nothing because that's what made me who I am. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. As a hospice nurse, I will tell you, I've had some atheist patients or agnostic patients, and right before they transition over to end of life, they usually end up reaching out and seeking for some type of religion or faith to believe in, and that, so it's definitely, those experiences will make you look at life just a little bit differently, especially at that end of life.
Yep.
So I want to know, how did you learn to move through challenges that life threw your way? Like, how did you learn to overcome them?
My mentality was, I believe Pac said, for every dark night there's a brighter day or something like that. I might have got it wrong, but my point is like I always look at the bigger picture. Yeah, these times are tough, but it'll get better. So it's like incidents and hardships don't, well, they do define me, but not entirely. So it's like whenever I had to go through something, um, I just I was like, this is temporary. It'll get better. Like I don't know if I told you this part, but a few years ago, um, anybody that knows me knows that the one thing I want to be is a father, right?
You can
So,
take my kids. Look, just they're ready made. Okay.
me and not my ex, the one that I broke up with, but the one before that, me and her were supposed to have a kid. She committed suicide. So, and the worst part about that was she was currently carrying my kid. So I actually lost two people, not just one.
Oh,
Um,
Irvin, I am so sorry.
I'm not mad at her. I mean, obviously she was dealing with something that I did not know. It was obviously, I wish she didn't do what she did, but I'm definitely not mad at her. I'm just, that was a little tough. So
Yeah, I can't even imagine. I won't even try to imagine that. To lose two at one. I mean, there's no words for that. But
yeah,
the fact that you're still sitting here and knowing that there's a silver lining at the end of the rainbow, I mean, that not too many people have that. And that's why I asked, how did you get through the challenges of life? Because not too many people can sit there and be like, all right, it happened and I need to process it and I need to move on. Um, that's not easy. It's not an
it's
easy
really
thing.
not. It's mentally, like up here mentally, I'm like, oh my god, it's like no matter how bad stuff gets, I always try to look at the positive. Like, you know, when my ex committed suicide, I was angry, but I was like, wait a minute, I shouldn't be angry because obviously the girl was in pain, so much pain that she just didn't want to be here no more. So it's like the one thing that I'm not glad that it happened, but I'm glad that she's no longer in pain.
Yeah.
Um, and it's still taking time for me to try and put that behind me. I mean, it's tough, but it's not, So it's like at least she's up there with her loved ones, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna continue to keep doing what I'm doing. Um, but yeah, that the whole son thing really bothered me too, because that was a few years of being together, and I was just so happy of being a dad, and then bam, like so
Yeah.
unexpectedly.
I
So
I do just want to know if anybody is listening out there and they're suffering from depression or contemplating suicide, please reach out to a family member, a loved one, a friend. You can even DM me. There are other options and recourses, that you can take. There is help out there for you. So just that we spoke about that, I just wanted to put that caveat in there. You know, when you're hurting, but there's other people that hurt as well, when you decide to take that choice. So definitely seek help, reach out friends, families, or DM me, like
I'm
really.
I'm sure we've all been there. Like with me being in entertainment, there was a lot of times where I considered it, um, because I put too much pressure on myself. I felt like I was carrying literally the entire culture, and there were times where I felt like I was disappointing everybody because I did not get signed, I didn't make it. So on top of my personal demons and the business, like sometimes it was a little bit too much for me to to handle their work. I'm not ashamed to say that I did attempt it once or twice, like in my life, especially when I became, in the wrestling business and with pills and alcohol. And it's like, so everybody's been through it, but not everybody everybody overcomes it. You know what I'm saying?
No.
And I'm sure I got no problem getting super personal, but a few days ago, I put that post up about the breakup. That was tough
Yeah.
too because that was literally the same month that
Ugh.
I went through. Yeah, so she passed away in November a year and a half ago, and then literally like a few days after the date. That's so it's like, man, I can't get a break, but I'm 2021. I'm focused. I'm
Listen,
doing right.
I posted on that I commented on that post that you made, and I'll say it like I said it then. When it's yours, it'll be yours,
Yeah,
and you don't
yeah,
have to fight for it. So, it just made a pathway open for what's supposed to be in your life, right?
right.
That's
Absolutely. I'm so focused for 2021. I got trying my hand in bodybuilding, trying to get into acting. So I mean, I'm hustling, and when something comes up, I ain't gonna fight it. But until then, I'm just gonna keep doing what I need to do. And I still got uh, I still got people that support me. I still got people that love me. So it's
right
like,
here, Alan.
you know
I'm
what I'm saying?
personally am
Yeah.
glad you came into my life. I know you are here for a reason.
Appreciate that, bro.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, he speaks so highly of you. He was so excited that you were coming on. I'm telling
Yeah,
you, you have
I love doing these podcasts, these interviews.
yeah, I
It's
mean it brings out light to a lot of different things. And like I said, thank you so much for sharing your story. So being that you've overcome so much, like I mean, we I know for me, like I told you, I had my story, but this is not about me, right? I have my own story. But when people ask me, how did I get through my stuff? I'm like, I don't even think about it. You just got to do it, right? You just got to jump the
yeah,
hurdles and do it.
yeah,
But not
yeah.
everybody's built like that. So what tools can you share with other people that they may be able to use to navigate through their life?
Well, the biggest thing is you gotta have fire. Like you gotta have the passion. When I say passion, you gotta have passion to succeed. There's a difference between having passion for wanting to do something and passion for the passion of life. You gotta know that your heart's beating for a reason. You're here for a reason. Even though you ain't found that reason, that don't mean you're not gonna find that reason. So if you take yourself out, you'll never find out what you were meant to be. So like, it don't matter how hard stuff gets, even if it seems impossible. Just know that everybody's here for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody's life, nobody's life is easy. Everybody has different stuff they got to overcome. Some people can't overcome it and it consumes them. And some people like myself, we just we keep having the intestinal fortitude to push forward. So that's what makes us different. You just got to know that stuff will get better. It might be slow, might be fast. It might happen when you least expect it. So
Mm,
that's the biggest tool is your mind. You got to have a healthy mind because, like I said the other day, if your mindset's not healthy, your body's gonna feel on you.
absolutely.
You could be jacked, but if your mental state's weak, your body's gonna break down before your mind does. So
Absolutely. You're not even,
yeah,
I can physically get up and go to the gym. It's my mental that keeps me in the bed. Like, it's nice and
right.
warm here. Why do you want to get
Yeah,
up? Like,
yeah, yeah,
don't do that. Chrissy,
yeah.
what's wrong with you? But, even with, like I said earlier, that I'm a hospice nurse. And I've asked people as they're transitioning and they're passing, like, what when they ask me, like, why am I not dead? Like, I'm dealing with this cancer and I'm in pain, and why am I not passing? Like, why am I still here? Like, I don't understand it. And I tell them all the time, that's my answer. I'm like, you have a purpose, and maybe your purpose isn't done yet. And they're like, well, what could be my purpose? And I'm like, oh, maybe your purpose was meeting me. Like, maybe I needed to meet you. Maybe you needed to come into my life for some reason, and we just don't know it yet.
Yeah,
But definitely everyone has a purpose, and we just need to work hard to find out what that purpose is. Yes, passion and fire gives you determination to be unstoppable, but not everybody has that. So everybody has that little spark that can be ignited, right?
absolutely.
And everybody, maybe it's not a flame yet. But, you know, even the smallest little flicker can engulf a home and cause a fire. It just may
Right.
take longer than if you had a big old, a big
Yep.
gasoline fire, right?
Yep.
So there, it's still there. Definitely got to put some work into it. Um, and I know this is the one that you were waiting for, which is, why do you think it's hard for people to get out of their own way?
Well, multiple reasons. One, the fear is the biggest thing. They're scared of failing. You can't succeed without failing. You know how many billionaires and millionaires have failed in their life before they made that first $1 million? A lot. Everybody's failed. You know how many times I've failed trying to become a professional wrestler before I finally got my first booking? Failing's a part of life, and I think the biggest thing people worry about is failing, falling on their face, and staying there. And it's like, on top of that, some people, mentally they're not strong. They're used to people and society saying you can't do something because you can't do something because you're short. Oh, you can't do it because you're white, Hispanic, black. You can't do it because, and they believe it. So I think the reason why people don't go out and amount to their full potential is because they're scared and they believe they can't do it. It's too hard. It's impossible. And nothing's impossible.
No,
Nothing, no. Like the doctor straight up told me I'm gonna be in a wheelchair. Well, guess what? You know what I'm saying? Absolutely not. So you just gotta believe in yourself when other people don't believe in the biggest thing when I went to Central High School, the one piece of advice the best piece of advice I gave them kids was when everybody else does not believe in you, you believe in you. Sometimes that's all it takes.
and I'll tell you, that's everything in life, right? That's everything in life. I know that even with this podcast, I've questioned myself a couple of times with the podcast. But at the end of the day, it happened, right? It
Yep.
happened. Things just kind of fell into place. Not that I didn't do the work for it. I busted my ass. It was right.
Right.
But definitely you have the potential to be great. Failure has been my fear. I will tell you, you hit it right on the head. That's been my fear. I had somebody ask me, why don't you write a book about your life story? Like it's a great story. You need to put it on paper. And I was like, because I have the fear of failing. And I fear that I'll write this book and nobody will read it. Right. But I don't even know.
Won't know until you try. This might sound weird, but this might sound really weird, but I actually welcome failure simply because it motivates me not to fail again. And I also realize this is what you don't do. If I want to succeed the second time around, I gotta try something different. You'd think every person that opens up a restaurant is successful in their first year. Absolutely not. They probably go bankrupt and have to get a new location, and then their business explodes. Like like This is random as crap, but I forgot who invented the White Castle burgers. But do you know how many White Castle shops he had to open in one state before he went worldwide? A lot. He's lost a lot of money, but he's also made a lot of money. So you gotta lose to gain. So whenever you have a dream, you gotta take that chance. It might blow up in your face next week, next year, 10 years. You won't know unless you try. The biggest fear I got, when it's my time to go, is not trying and not living to my full potential, and I refuse to do that. So this is how it is.
Yeah. It's so funny that you said that that's your only fear, that you're not living to your fullest potential. Therefore, you're not going to allow the failure to subdue what your purpose is, right? Um, I'm definitely learning to overcome that fear and jump into things that I don't know.
Right.
But it's not easy. It's not easy. It's not like you go back. For me, I've gone back and forth. Like, what the hell are you doing? Go ahead, keep doing it. No, what the hell are you doing? I'll just give up. Like, and the back and forth. But then, Pete, I have a friend of mine who's always telling me, he's like, do you ever look at where you came from in life and where you are now? Like, to go back and think about, pregnant at 14, mom at 15, and to be where I am in life. He's like, you took chances. I was like,
Yeah.
yes, but they were calculated risk, right?
Yeah.
They were calculated risk. They
Right.
weren't just
Absolutely.
like, oh, whatever. Like, I'm just gonna put my money all in this one stock and
Yeah.
hope that, like, I
Right.
didn't do that shit. But
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, um, so talk to me about the wrestling. Like what, how, you're in it now. Like what's going on?
Well, I like when I this might be weird, but when I was a kid, I was kind of shy. Like I didn't even like presenting projects at school. Like let me tell you a story. When I was in science, I waited till last. I was the last person to go. Right as the teacher said, "All right, Irvin, you're up." I said, "I gotta go to the bathroom." He's like, "All right, make it quick." Bolted out the doors. Did not come back to school that day. I went straight home. Cut through the courtyard, hopped the fence, and I was out. Teacher called me. He's like, "Where'd you go?" I said, "I'm at home." He's like, "Well, I'm on ferry." I said, I don't give a shit. Go ahead." Like, I don't know. Friday don't nothing to me. But it's like I never like when I first broke into wrestling. I was so scared because I was small, nothing fit me, and I got bullied a lot in school, like nonstop. So even when I was in wrestling as a 21-year-old man, I got picked on because I was small, I was African American, and I was athletic than a lot of the guys that were there for 10, 15 years. So I already had more potential than they did simply because I'm a better athlete. And they felt threatened by that. So they made me feel like shit because they were jealous. Like when I was going on the road trips, there was, I'd be like, well, can I ride with you? Like, nah, you're going to find your own way there. So that's what I did. Um, in the locker room, I sat by myself because nobody wanted to talk to me. So it's like the first 2 years in the wrestling business were not that kind to me, but it wasn't until I blew up, we're friends with some of the Dodie guys, some of the TNA guys. Everybody's like, "Oh, Irvin's talking to big names. Let me holler at him now." It's
Ah.
a, it's amazing how people act when you blows up. Like 3 years ago, people really didn't know who I am. Now I'm known literally all over the world. I got friends in like Japan, Australia, UK,
Mhm.
Ireland, and it's like I did that through hard work and being persistent. And it's like wrestling. You've heard of Dark Side of the Ring, I'm sure. So it's like wrestling has a good side and has a bad side. Bad side being drugs,
Oh.
crazy people, crazy fans. I have this one crazy fan story. That was by
Tell us,
far
Irvin.
okay. Okay. So when my booking's out of town, I have to book a hotel room because I like to go to the hotel, maybe have some champagne. If the catering's not good, I'll order food myself. Sometimes I like to go to Win King, get 50 hot wings and beer, and enjoy myself. So somehow
50.
yeah, yeah. So about 50 hot wings, and 10 of those better be teriyaki, because I'll be pissed. So it's like I this this woman that biggest fan. I should have saw a red flag in my way and she said biggest fan because I have a lot of fans, but I'm the biggest fan ever. Oh, cool. Let me take a picture. Have a nice day. But somehow she found where I was staying, so she must have followed me from the venue to the hotel room. I didn't pay no attention. They were like, okay, maybe she's just staying at the same hotel room I'm at. Hotel. But this time she takes a step further. So somehow she goes to the front desk. This is after I checked in. You get two keys.
Hmm.
She lied to the front desk and said that we're married and she needs a spare key. So have you seen the movie Obsessed with Beyonce?
Yes.
And same thing. I went in the room, sitting on bed,
Mm.
and at first I'm like, same right? Room key 511. She's in here. I said, you in the wrong room. She's like, I said, why are you in my room? She's like, I gotta tell you something. I said, did we book on the same floor? Did you get lost? What happened? Did you forget sleep while you in my room? C511 right here on the key. It's like, nah, I told the front desk that we're married because I want to be in here. I went downstairs. I said, look, why'd y'all give a complete stranger my key? She's like, well, she said she was your wife. So you say anybody can go in there. This was the Marriott. This was the Marriott.
Wow.
That's about as high class as you can. So you guys are slipping up like
They
that.
usually ask ID. Well, let me see ID. You're not on the roster. You're not in the room.
I said, y'all are looking at a lawsuit right now. So
Wow.
one or two things are gonna happen. One, I'm suing this entire freaking company, which I don't want to do.
Hmm.
Or you better get this heifer out of my room, and she's gonna get in some trouble. So she was removed, and I got a lifetime ban. I was like, and then actually a week after that, she shows up at my house.
How the hell did she get your address? Yo, Urban, what you be doing to these women? But go ahead.
I I I guess you can find her address anywhere, but she's in my bushes because it was a nighttime, and I kept hearing my bushman. I'm like, oh, it's my cat killing something again. But this time I shine my flashlight and I see blonde hair. I'm like, is my neighbor drunk? Are they playing hide and go seek? So I went around the corner. She's like standing, like, what the like, how you get here? It's like, look, I'm calling the police. So lifetime ban. That was the craziest fan story. I don't think she meant any harm, but
Wow.
that's not something that was
I
crazy.
say, I joke around and have you ever seen You on Netflix, the series You? Right. And I was like, I just want somebody to love me like that. Right. And they're like, what? I'm like, but you're loved, right?
Yeah,
You know they're not gonna hurt you if you just stay within the confines of their love. Like
that was insane. Like, this is why now when I book hotel rooms, I always have my security team with me, but I make sure they're in the same floor, like not the same room, but two or three, places down from my. Because that was.
yeah. I want to go back to a little bit if you'll be open and speak about it. Because I know we didn't talk about it pre-show, but I want to see we don't have to discuss it, but I think it would be important to touch on it. Everybody says if you leave a gang, like you can't just leave a gang. There's consequences and a price to pay. Um, is that the case? Was that the case?
I paid the price. I mean, a couple of my home dudes got stuck because of my decision. They got stuck up. Um, for me, I was in a position where I was high ranking. So when you're high ranking, you can leave the responsibilities to somebody else. You never fully leave, but I'm not active because I straight up told myself, look, I'm chasing a dream. I'm doing not doing for me, but I'm doing for so everybody here. So
Mhm.
I can't chase a dream and I can't be in the street. So y'all gonna have to give this this patch in a no name. So they said, okay, they can't tell me no because I can literally, what I'm saying. So it's like they gave me the blessing. I mean, they looked at me like a punk, but I didn't care.
Yeah.
And then I moved like an hour out. So I don't talk to them no more, but I've seen a lot of them, and they just nod at me. I nod them back. That's all that is.
Okay.
But if if there comes a time where somebody messes with me and my family, I still got the ties, but I'm not active no more.
Yeah. I asked that question because I know a lot of people, unfortunately, that are still active in gangs. And that's always a fear for me, right? Say you pick up and you're doing bad because they're young kids. And now you want to be something else or do something else. And what's the price that you have to pay to leave that organization? I'll call it an organization because it is. What's the price that you have to pay? And I think the other part of that too is people who falsely claim that they're in a gang, right?
I've seen that before too. I
That
said, is
has
that why you said you claim your blood? Is that why bandana's on the wrong side? Like, don't do that.
yeah,
Like,
because that's dangerous too. Because you got to be able to call your set and all of that, right? You
hmm
got to be able to do all that with and not get caught the wrong way. But so is there anything else that you want to provide our viewers here? Any information like any motivational speaking events that you have coming up that possibly they can join or anything like that?
honestly, I think in terms of motivational speak, this is actually my last booking for the year, but I'm taking bookings virtual, whether you was a podcast, school, whatever. I'm taking bookings next year.
Okay.
Um, so if anybody wants me on, you know what I'm saying, just contact my Facebook or my Instagram is Irvin Legend Official. I really don't be on Twitter that much, but just my email is IrvinLegend757 at gmail.com. So I mean, there's all my info.
Hold
Um,
on. I'm gonna get that up for you. You
yeah.
keep talking while I'm writing.
So I like doing these speaking engagements because I want to bring awareness to how important it is to realize, you know,
757.
yeah, Irvin Legend 757 at gmail.com is my business email. Or you can reach out on my Facebook and send me a DM. I'm maxed out on my friends, but you still send me a message, um, it'll show up.
Oh, I spelled it wrong. My bad. Listen,
Right.
I'll post it on I'll post it on my the
The
Cipher
page.
Knowledge.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
I'll post it on the page. I'll put all
Okay.
your Instagram and your Facebook, and then I'll put your email address there and your contact info, and you guys can just go over DM him. Do you if you DM him, look, you got to go into your those message request things,
Yeah,
that you
yeah. It
cuz
gets crazy sometimes.
yeah, it definitely does. So I want to ask you, I ask all our guests at the end of the show, what is one piece of lasting advice that you can give our viewers that they can carry on and transcend through the rest of their life?
I saved this for last because this is one thing Rich Piana taught me. Rich Piana was a dear friend of mine. He was a bodybuilder. Um, we're not here forever. You never know. We could die tomorrow. And that's why every day that we're fortunate enough to wake up, we got to live to full potential. And there's a reason why time is invented. It's not to be wasted. So if you have a dream or a vision, you got to wake up every day, taking more steps closer to realizing that dream. Like if you just wake up and sleep all day, you're wasting time because you might not wake up the next day. So you gotta look at every day like this is my chance to shine. Then as long as you apply that to life, I think you're gonna be very successful. But the people that aren't successful are the people that are content with mediocrity and being complacent. So you just gotta and don't listen to people that tell you can't do something. So that's pretty much it in terms of lasting advice. So
Sorry about that. I have a little coughing fit. Keep
yeah,
talking, Irvin. Give me a second.
um, you can't listen to people that go out of the way to be negative. Those are the people you don't want in your circle. You don't want in your life because those are people that, quite frankly, don't know what it takes to succeed. So as long as you have a healthy circle and a healthy mind, you're gonna have a healthy body too. So it's like with us being in the middle of a pandemic, I know it's gonna be tough, but it's you gotta do your best to be optimistic and be positive. A lot of people getting sick, so you just gotta just keep hustling.
I think I'm good now.
You sure?
I
I
forgot
lost
to
some shit.
mute myself too, and I'm like still coughing, and
Yeah,
I don't know where the hell that came from. It's no COVID. It's no COVID. I promise you, it's no COVID. Um,
COVID, man. COVID is tripping.
well, listen, this is the little glitches of live shows, right?
Right.
Stuff happens, and you kind of just gotta roll with it.
Yeah.
Um, I think. Listen, I'm not about to sing because I can't sing.
Yeah.
Not at all. Oh, we got JT Funk here.
I don't know if you covered this, but what was your reasoning for getting into motivational speaking?
That was like question number one, JT.
Simply to inspire kids to stay off the street, stay away from drugs, and reach their full potential as a human being. That was my biggest goal because I love to see people succeed. Nothing kills me more when I see a kid that has all the potential in the world to be something great, but he's too lazy and is content with just wasting his life away for people who don't give a damn about him. So that's why I started doing motivational speaking.
And I think that is amazing. And I'm sure, like I said earlier, that you've reached way more people than you think you have. You know, this cough will stop eventually. Watch, it'll be the show's done, and then the coughing stops. Everything's all good. But listen, I want to thank you so, so much for coming on the show and being a part of it and helping me close out season one. Um, I mean, this was no better way to close out the season than with you on and bringing hope and positivity into the new year. I will post all of Irvin's social media onto the Ciphered Knowledge Facebook page. Hold on 1 second. Actually, give it for a second. I'm going to drink something and you could give your social media again. Go ahead.
All right. So my Facebook obviously is Irvin Legend. My Instagram is Irvin Legend Official, and my business email is irvinlegend757 at gmail.com. So That's how you can contact me for bookings. I mean, if you want to hit my Twitter is Moneyman Legend, but I really don't be on Twitter like that. So I prefer email or Facebook because I'll respond way quicker that way.
Yes, he does. He does. He's a good responder.
Yeah, yeah,
So, like I said, thank you again so much for coming on and being a part of this. So, guys, like I said, this is the end of season 1. It is a wrap. Um, season 2 will be back January 3rd, 2021, in the new year. I can't believe we're getting into the new year already. Like, I'm just
crazy.
like crazy already. But 2020 needs to be over anyway.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, definitely. So make sure you go over to 2M1L Media and like, subscribe, and hit the notification button so that you can see Cipher Knowledge with Chrissy every Sunday at 8 o'clock. Also, for season 2, there will be some shows on Saturday as well, and I will be doing some double headers. I told you, it just blossomed and exploded for me. Also, you will find Around the Turnbuckle every Saturday and Sunday at 6 p.m. You will also find Spitting with Spitter every Wednesday at 8 p.m. You will find Home Team Sports and Entertainment every Tuesday at 6 p.m. So head over to 2M1L Media, like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. Now, I will part with you what I always part with at the end of the show, which is if all you've experienced is all you know, then you are in a deficit of knowledge. So thank you for joining the Cipher. I will see you on the other side. Um, you know, keep looking, keep watching. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Irvin. Thank you, every guest that's been on here. And on that note, one love.